Hi, and welcome to Homo Ludens, the channel on history and board games. Today we're going to cover a game from a rather new publisher coming from Germany called VUCA Simulations. VUCA Simulations was created a few years ago and focuses mostly on hex encounters, not necessarily heavy game, but I would say the more traditional approach to wargaming. This publisher specifically joined my attention for a couple of reasons. First of all, because they republished some earlier games from the 80s, but also because I thought they were very cautious about the quality of their production and graphical design, and I think that for traditional hex encounter games it is really interesting to see publishers doing this, and I was curious about playing those games, seeing how interesting they were and what they were offering. So today we'll be covering one of their latest released, a game called Donnerschlag, that you can see here, beautiful cover. And Donnerschlag depicts what could have been an attempt in 1942 at releasing the Sixth Army from the Stalingrad cauldron. This video is divided into two parts. First, an interview of Patrick, one of the co-founders of the company and co-designer of this game. And then we'll have a session where we play the game with Joe Klein, who's joining me once again to play with me. A copy was provided by the publisher, so keep that in mind. And I hope you'll enjoy this video. And we have with us today the designer, Patrick Gebhardt. Hi, Patrick, and thanks for being here. That's really nice of you to take the time. First of all, I was wondering about how did Essen go, because you were at Essen, right?
Yes, correct. For the first time this year. So first of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, Essen was great. So we met a lot of people, had a lot of discussions, had some wargamers, had some Eurogamers who didn't know our games at all.
Do you think that it's a good event for wargamers generally, Essen, or?
Yeah, it's not the main focus, of course, of the trade fair, but there were some publishers there, and yeah, everybody who has an interest in board games should be there at least once.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really impressive event. Maybe too many people, but that's another problem. Yeah. Patrick, I wanted to ask you, so you are the designer of this game, Donnerschlag, but you also own the company VUCA Simulations.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm the co-owner, so I founded it with my best friend back in 2018, I think. 2019, we released the first game, Crossing the Line, and then since then never stopped. So we released one game per year in the first years because it was a part-time endeavor of ours. We had a full-time job, and yeah, now this year we're up to 5 games, and that's, I think, the long-term goal is to have 4 to 5 releases per year.
So it's a full-time job for both of you now?
Yes, so we are full-time employees of our company, of course, but we have another product line, which is poker supplies. That's how our company got started in the first place. So it's poker cards, tables, poker chips, all that stuff. And VUCA is the other part of our company, and we are investing a lot of time now to.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. But then my question is, what would you want to open up a new war game publisher? Like, it's not like it's a booming industry. So I was curious what motivated a couple of young guys, young German, to open up a war game publisher in 2019.
Yeah, that's true. So it's very much a niche market, right? So we have very limited print runs. But I was playing war games since 2006 myself. And that's when I started, and my collection grew, and I was playing lots of games and was very invested in the hobby. And then we have a German conflict simulation club, which hosts a convention in Braunfels each year. And we've been there a couple of times, and one day we met Dirk Blennerman, who's the designer of our first game, and we were just discussing kind of the game philosophy, what makes a great game, and we shared the same views. So we decided to just try it out and design our first game together. that's how it started.
Oh, that's interesting. And so I was looking online, and the company wasn't called VUCA Simulations before, right? Like I
Yeah.
think yeah. So was it like Führer Barbarus or something like
Furor Teutonicus, yes.
Furor Teutonicus? Yeah.
By the way, that's not the company name, but the brand name, right?
Okay.
But yes, we chose that name because we thought it would be fitting for a game company coming from Germany because it's a historical term. But then we found out that there's a lot of negative connotation to this term, which we haven't been aware of. We just made a Google research on the first landing page. There was nothing there, and so that's when we decided to change the name. Because the first name was very controversial, right? And we don't want to be anyhow connected to any right-wing people at all. So we renamed our brand, and we also take care to always add some historical notes, historical background to our games to make it more like objective, right?
And that's the thing that I was wondering about, because I was looking at your lineup, and most of the games that you've been releasing so far have been heavily World War II focused. All of them, of course, contain Nazi troops and everything. And I was wondering, is that, as a German publisher, comes with specific challenges for you, both in making the game, designing them properly, but also potentially sometimes very practically the types of iconography that you can use in those games? Because I think you have special laws also in Germany around this.
Yes,
So how?
sure. So the laws in Germany are pretty strict. So you have certain symbols or icons you can't use. We also wouldn't use them if it wouldn't be forbidden. But it's of course a controversial topic as well to have games in the World War II setting. On the other hand, that's where the main market for classic hex and counter games is. And also it's the most easy way to first get your feet wet. So that's why we chose that specific era. On the other hand, we're also publishing games from other eras now. So it's World War One, it's Napoleonics, it's Cold War, alternative history games. So we try to widen the product range a bit.
And I could see that you also had another symbol on the boxes. There was quite a few. Like the other one is conflict simulation engineering, and I was wondering what's up with that.
Yeah, it just means the development process in general, because most of the value generation of the game system generation is just taking place here, and I think it's just a neat detail because on other companies you have printed like proudly produced in the United States and all that stuff. So I just think it's kind of funny.
Okay, so it's a marketing thing. But do you see then game design and game development as something that is close to engineering, or it was just like trying to refer to German engineering or something like this?
Oh no, not German engineering wasn't in the focus here. It's more about creating such a product because those games are pretty complex, right? So rules-wise, and also the development process is pretty complex. So I think you can compare it some kind of to engineering.
And one last thing about the box, because I was looking at them, because I've got a couple of them. I could see on the back of the box that you have that partnership with JHS,
Yes.
with that motto: "Consim is our hobby, peace is our concern." And I wanted to talk with you, like if you could say a bit more about what's that organism, JHS, and why it was important for you to have that partnership.
Sure. So GHS, it's Gesellschaft für historische Simulationen. That's the German name. GHS is a club of German enthusiasts of the hobby, and they also start a German Hex Encounter convention, which takes place in Braunfels each year. It's called the Hexacon. members from GHS are helping in playtesting and proofreading, and I think it's fair to add them on the box, because that also gives some exposure to the club, right?
And do you like send them a part of your revenues to support them, or is it just like a partnership in terms of visibility?
Yeah, it's more or less a partnership in visibility and in sharing the same hobby.
By the way, probably we'll edit this out, but have you noticed that there is a typo on the box? When you look at the back, it says, yeah, so if you look at the box, so the motto is supposed to be, and look at one of your box, you can pick one up. It says to be, Consum is our hobby, peace is our concern. And look at it, and you realize that you are missing an N. It's written, really? Yeah, it's on all of your boxes. Yeah.
On all boxes?
Yes.
Okay, let me see. I got it here.
Yeah.
So where do you...
So normally it's Consum, so CONSIM, and you have COSIM.
Yeah, because it's named COSIM
in German?
Germany, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if it was COSIM in German and then the translation in English.
Yeah.
Why okay.
COSIM World, right?
Yes, it makes sense. Okay, because I was wondering if it was something. If it was something that was lost in translation. So that's good.
No, it was on purpose, but we should change it.
Yeah, maybe for the future boxes. And as we've discussed, and that's also something that you mentioned, but there is a strong focus on hex and counter games. And today the hobby has expanded way beyond that, especially over the last 2 or 3 decades. Is it something that you're going to be committed to, only hex and counter game, or are you also planning on expanding the types of historical games that you're proposing with VUCA simulations?
All our games so far have been hex and counter games, and most will be in the future as well, because that's somehow also what defines the hobby. But on the other hand, we are open to other systems, other game mechanics, and we actually have a game in works that doesn't use hex and counters.
So for you really see wargame as mostly a hex and counter hobby?
Yes,
I think so. Okay.
It's just the most effective way to portray movement, which is kind of a very important part of these games. Right?
Going back specifically to Donnerschlag now, maybe can you tell a bit to our viewers what the game is about? What is it depicting? What's the topic of this game?
Donnerschlag is portraying the relief effort from the German units when they tried to reach 6th Army, which was in the pocket in Stalingrad. And historically, the operation failed, but I thought it's a setting which is well suited for trying our game. Right? So it's the first game in a planned series of games, which is meant to be easy playing, but very interactive. So there's no downtime, and it should be playable in one sitting. And that's what we had as a goal when designing the games.
And I could see that you co-designed it with Pepito Spaseguti. Yes. And I was wondering what kind of relationship was it? So how did you work together on that game?
Yeah, actually it was kind of a back and forth between us, but we met sometimes and had printed versions of the game, and then we played some games, changed components, met again, played some more, and that's how it went. So I couldn't say which parts he did and which parts I did, because it was a common shared project, and both gave our ideas into it, and that's how it got.
And I was wondering about the research on the topic. It's a topic that has been covered on the channel, especially when we had a show that was dedicated to a book called When Titans Clashed by David M. Glantz. So I will add a link in the description to that video. And we talked a lot about how the historiography around the depiction of the Red Army evolved, especially after the 1990s and the opening of the USSR archives. And I was wondering, in the case of your game, Donnerschlag, but also potentially about other games that you've been working on covering World War II on the East Front, how did you approach research in general for those games?
Yeah, that's a good question. So actually, I contacted David Glantz at the start of the project, and he sent me some, one big package with lots of source material and battle orders and operations, and that was pretty good. So we used that as a basis for creating Donnerschlag. But on the other hand, it's more a game than a simulation, right? So we decided pretty early on to not depict the formations in detail, but have it more abstract, especially the Soviet side, which you will see in play. The way we activate units is not like in standard war games. It's a bit different here.
So, but it's interesting. So you had some interaction with David Glantz. Do you know if he played the game or he just provided some input?
I think so, because I'm not sure if I even mentioned that we used the stuff for the game design purposes. I was merely asking about if he does have any material on specific campaigns and specific time frames, and it was great though, because some, I don't know, 20 years ago, they had like some symposiums quite about the topics I was asking for. So he had great material, and he was kind enough to send it over to me.
Yeah, that's great to hear that you had some interactions with him. He's really a impressive historian, specifically on that topic. And knowing that looks like most of the game that you play yourself or on World War II hex and counter games, from your perspective as a player, do you feel like the depiction of the Second World War has evolved between the games that existed in the 70s and the 80s and the games that are being released now?
Yes, I think so. Although I just got a couple of the old games from SPI, for example. But of course, if you look at the market, what gets released every year, I started in 2006, and you can even see a development from that point of time, right? Lots of different systems, a lot of different mechanics, different topics. So it's certainly involved.
Talking about other games, as you said, this game is a bit different from other classic hex and counter game in the sense that the flow is a bit different, and it uses cards for activation, and we'll see that when we start talking about the rules and everything. But I was wondering, what other game inspired you in the design process of Donnerschlag?
So actually, I think A Victory Lost from Tetsuya Nakamura, published by MMP, is one of my all-time favorite games, and one of my most played games. And I think it's great because it's playable in one sitting, although a long sitting, and it has a small footprint, like one map, and such easy rules. You wouldn't not reference them anymore if you've read them once. And the tables are so easy, but there's lots of strategic depth in terms of gameplay in the game. That game actually was the one I thought.
It's funny that you talk about Victory Lost, because I was talking with a friend that I think you know, Brian Asklev.
Yeah, sure.
And we were talking together, and we're talking about Donnerschlag because he's playing later this week, and he asked me if I read the rules and what it looked like. And I told him, well, basically you don't really have to read the rules. Just remember a victory lost, replace the chits by cards, and then just read the victory conditions, and you'll be fine. because that's really because I feel there is a lot of similarities in the way it works, but I think that the addition of the battle cards and the activation cards, I'm really looking forward to trying it, because I think adds something interesting that I was always a bit frustrated about for Victory Lost, the fact that it was completely random what you can activate. But I find that quite interesting. And then the thing that I would like to see, we probably won't get to see it during that teach and play session, is the whole victory mechanic for the access, bidding on a specific meeting zone or specific objective, you could say. So curious to see that. But I could see definitely some similarities, even in the aesthetics. I think that the game released by MMP was very modern in its way to approach graphical design for a hex and counter game. And I think that this one is definitely the equivalent in 2022 of a like as modern as you could see a hex and counter game be. That's one of the very impressive thing that I could see, and something that I see in most of your games. There is a big effort on graphic design. Is it something that is really important for you? How
Yes,
and why?
definitely. Thank you. Yes, that's a big focus of ours, and we're very happy to have our in-house designer aboard, and he does an exceptional job, I think. So he created all the graphics of all our games so far, except for the map from 1914, which is also very nice. This was done by Mark. We put a strong emphasis on the artworks perspective. So what we do when we have a project is to create sort of a mood board and to see that all the components also give a kind of a round picture, right?
Yeah, and it definitely is very impressive. So good work. You can
Thank
tell
you.
him thumbs up. It's nice to see high quality graphics like this. It's very pleasant. And maybe just to conclude before we talk about the game specifically and talk about the future of VUCA simulations, what's in the pipeline? So what future releases we can expect from your company?
We have one game at the printer right now. The game is Task Force, which portrays the Pacific War, and it contains a lot of scenarios. It's basically a two-player game, also with a cat and mouse aspect, where you have your carrier strike forces and you have to search with your planes on the map to detect your opponent, and then you can start your bombers. So it's a scenario-based game, which was originally released in Japan, but there hasn't been an English edition of the game yet. So we started that project. So it will be here in about 4 months, I guess, depending on the logistics situation. And then we have a lot of other games in the works. So one big project is Red Strike, which is a 1989 alternative history Cold War gone hot situation game. That's quite a monster. It's pretty big, but also contains smaller scenarios. We will provide exercise scenarios where you can learn the basic mechanics of air combat, air to ground combat, naval combat. So all those aspects in an isolated way. And then we have some bigger scenarios and the campaign games. So that's a very big project, which we hope to bring to the printer at the end of the year. And then we have some more games in the Crossing the Line series. One game we're working on with Dirk again. It's about the African campaign also, but it depicts 4 battles from Africa. So it's more a smaller game, like it's pretty well suited for beginners in the series. And then we have some other projects in the makings, but I don't want to announce them when they're.
No, sure. You'll come back and we'll talk about it. So don't worry.
Yeah, sure.
Great, but thanks for the overview. Thanks for answering the questions about the game, and I think now is probably the good time for jumping into the teach and play session. And we have with us today to play the game the infamous Joe Klein. Hi, Joe. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. We're all good. So Joe is becoming a bit of a regular guest on the show, almost a co-host on YouTube right now. That's going to be your third video.
I know, right?
On home audience. That becomes a bit scary now. Like I'm gonna rely a lot on you too. Yeah, exactly. It's half your channel almost. So that's yeah. Thanks for being here. Now that we're done with the interview, I was about to ask Patrick to give us a bit an overview of the game and what we're trying to achieve. And before doing that, I'm probably going to add Vassal to the stream. So for the people who are watching this video and wondering how we're going to play remotely tabletop game, we're using a software called Vassal. So we can play online with all of the components. It's just that they are digitally implemented. So it's not a video game per se, but it's a way for us to remotely play all together. So we're using the module that is provided by VUCA Simulations. And by the way, it's great that the module exists. It's accessible online to anyone. So if you want to, if you have the game and want to play online with some friends, you can get access to it. But yeah, up to you, Patrick. So what are we trying to do in this game, and how are we going to do it?
Yeah, sure. So I'm not sure if you can actually zoom out a bit out of the map, so we can have an overview.
We can. It's just going to look a bit ugly, but we can do that.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Perfect. Okay, so I can give you a quick overview, right? So in the down on the bottom of the map, that's the southern direction. We have the Axis troops, consisting of multiple formations, and you will always play an activation card alternatingly to activate one formation at a time, move units, conduct combat, and then the opponent is active. So it's very interactive, very much back and forth. And what the German player wants to do is to bring at least one of his units or forces up north to one of the meeting zones. So in the top right hand, you see abstractly the Stalingrad cauldron, which is just up to the north of the hex zones, right there. Yes. And the relief forces from the south want to go north and reach one of the three zones. So the goal for the German player is to have at least one unit in supply and in command in one of the three zones at the end of the game, right? And he has to call out Donnerschlag, which was the code word for Sixth Army to break out, actually. That's why we chose it. But you have to call it out at one point in the game. And at that moment, you will have to choose one of the three meeting zones. And you will have to put in markers to the meeting zone holding boxes. We have two dummy markers and one meeting zone marker. So the Soviet player doesn't know which zone you are heading to as a German player.
Okay, so there is a bit of bluffing here.
It's a bit of bluffing, yes. And usually you would call it out at the beginning of the fourth turn, because the moment you call out Donnerschlag and you select the meeting zone, you have 4 turns to reach the zone. And if you manage to do that, you will win. And if you don't, then you will lose. That's all or nothing in this game.
And the question is, for example, let's say you do your Donnerschlag action beginning of turn 3 or 4, and you commit to zone C, for example. If only 2 turns after you are in a victory situation, does it have you won, or you need for you to win to be in that position exactly 4 turns after you called it?
Yes, exactly. You have to be there exactly 4 turns afterwards.
Okay, so doing it early won't help.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So you can call out Donnerschlag earlier, like at the beginning of 3rd turn, if you have approached very good and if you had a very effective start of the game. But usually you do it at the beginning of turn 4.
Okay, but I think that's good for the objective. And then can we have like maybe an overview of the what's the sequence of play
Yes, sure.
before we start playing? Yeah.
Sure. So you can see here on the left side the turn track. So we have 8 holding boxes, but usually a game goes 7 turns. You have 2 types of cards in the game, activation cards and combat cards. Combat cards do provide effects. Oh, that's an activation card here. That's a combat card. Right. So you can play those combat cards, which you will get usually five pieces of each turn. And then you can choose to play them for an event, either a general event, which is mostly stronger but less probable to be successful, or you can play it as a tactical event, which is less effective in general but more probable to be successful, right? And through these events, some game mechanics can be changed. For example, the game can be extended to an 8th turn, or you can raise your own card limit, either of the activation cards or of combat cards, or you can lessen the card limit of your opponent. Yeah, so that's how that goes. Most of the time, the events will impact combat, so you can influence the combat results with that. And the game sequence is so that each player gets 5 activation cards per turn, and you will play 1 card alternatingly. For the German player, you have usually 1 formation on a card. So the formations are color coded on the map. For the Soviet player, it's a bit different because they have an additional color stripe at the center of the counter, and the Soviet player will usually activate all units with a corresponding colored stripe in the middle of the counter, right? The Soviet forces are also divided into 2 big armies. So that's the orangish units on the top of the map right now, and the more brownish, yellowish units in the south. So you can always play 1 color card, and this will activate all units of that colored stripe of one of the 2 armies.
Okay, and then we move
back and forth. So you play 5 activation cards each, but you play it alternatingly, and that concludes a turn. And then you go to the next turn. After turn 3, you're gonna shuffle in some late cards because they are separated, right? Again, you get some additional combat cards and some additional activation cards. The activation cards of the late war decks, they will have more sort of wild cards, so you get more of an operational flexibility for your forces later in the game.
good. Okay, and I showed you have early war deck and late war deck for both of those.
Yes.
Good.
So we can just start. So we have a rule where you can choose 1 card at the start of the game, but I always recommend to skip this selection in your first place because you don't know the game, the cards and the card effects. So
and I think before we start to finish setup, we have 2 motorized units here that the Axis player has to assign to attach to a formation.
To 1 formation, and they will stay with the formation for the whole game. So just for sake of getting started, just assign it to any one formation. Right. Doesn't really matter.
By formation, what are you referring to? As in,
so that's the formation is going to be the color band at the top
of the counter.
I see. They can have like any. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have 2 Panzer divisions here: 6th Panzer and 23rd Panzer. Those are the blue stripes, dark blue and bright.
How do I change that in Vassal?
So I think you're gonna click attach to, right click attach to, okay, and then you can just drag and drop on 1 of the units. And remember that you have a stacking limits of 2 counters per hex, unless 1 of those counter has this this symbol with a plus on top of it. So it's like 3 counters and a plus, and it means
Yes,
that
yes,
it doesn't.
yes.
It's not
That's
taken
the
into account.
headquarter units.
Yeah.
The headquarter units can stack for free.
Yes.
Yeah, or those reinforcement that you get from combat, like Alarmgruppen and stuff like this, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So like that.
Okay.
Let me see. Actually, you got me here. I think the also the Kampfgruppe doesn't have the symbol, right?
Oh wait, that's already there actually.
I'll just check.
Oh,
I'll just check.
give me a second.
The Alarmgruppe have the symbol normally.
Yeah, that's the Axis ones, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they are not real units, so they are immobile.
Right.
Good. So we don't play with the high command rule. So I guess that the first thing that we're going to do is draw each of us in our hands 5 activation and 5 combat cards, right, Patrick?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to open my hand here and I'm going to draw some cards. So Joe, you are not allowed to look at the screen. That would be awful. 3, 4, 5 et après 5 combats. 1, 2. Oop, where did it go? Oh, it's here. 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to clean up my hand off screen now because it's a mess. Good.
Okay, so the Axis player begins.
Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is play an activation card and do all of the activation cards. Patrick, give an option to activate different units, or all of them are
all of.
Yeah, I feel like some of the cards actually give you an option, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. You have some sort of wild cards where you can choose any one formation, and usually you can choose one of your most important combat cards right now and play them into the OKH or into the Stavka box, because you can select one combat card to place there, and then when you place it from the holding box, the card can't be impacted by an opponent's card play, and it will be automatically successful, so you don't have to roll for the...
Oh, yes, it's a guarantee.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we can skip that in a learning session.
Yeah,
okay, but normally at the beginning of the turn, we would pick one of our combat card and the Axis put it in OKH, and I would put it in Stavka. Yeah, for the Watchers. Yeah, Joe is playing the Axis, and I'm playing the... and we will do, and I'm playing the Soviets. But we'll do that at the beginning of each turn after having drawn our cards, right?
Yes, as long as the holding box is empty, right?
Okay.
If there's still the card from last turn, it will block the box. So you should take care to play this card from the box each turn.
Right, because it blocks it up. That makes sense. Okay, so I play an activation card.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna put one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put I'm gonna put this one here.
Okay. Interesting.
And you can do it too, of course.
Yeah, I don't think I will, just because I'm unsure if it'll be worth. It's hard to plan ahead. I don't know how it's gonna play out.
I have kind of a feeling of how it's going to play out, in the sense that, especially in the beginning, my expectation is that you're going to rush to the north, you're going to have a lot of tanks, and I'm going to try to slow you down as much as I can, probably behind rivers. That's what I expect will happen looking at the map.
Yes. So in terms of strategy, the rivers are the main barriers. What we always see in beginner sessions is that the German player approaches on broad, with all his units throughout all the breadth of the map, right? And then he got stuck at the first, the second river line. So in this game, you need to really focus on one narrow approach and just use 2 or 3 of the strong formations to punch through very quickly. Right, so you just use you have some weaker Romanian units which you can use to protect your lines of supply, But you really have to go in one narrow but strong push.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll play an activation card now, right?
Yeah, and play it in the middle of the board so everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Like somewhere. So you're activating the Romanian infantry. So
yes. So that's these guys down here.
Yeah, actually, that's a kind of a special case. You have two headquarters belonging to the Romanian infantry. It's the light green units,
Yeah.
right?
And then
there.
the bottom right as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
So both of those get activation. All units are within command range of the headquarters right now. So all of them can move and then possibly...
And maybe to explain command range, so you have two headquarters here, and when you look at the counters, you have a range for how far the units can be for them to be in command, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So the headquarter unit has a movement value. That's the bottom right value, and on the bottom left value, that's the command range in hexes.
So
command range, it doesn't get blocked by enemy zones of control or by enemy units or by terrain. So it's just the range.
So all Romanian units under command of the command.
Yeah, all of them are in range.
Have to be within 3 hexes.
Yes.
To use the activation.
So you always have to take care to place the headquarter at the end of the movement or at the end of the activation in such a way that all the other units are in command range.
Okay, that makes sense. And in terms of movement, how much does the roads? I know how rivers will work.
The terrain, the movement costs. This is pretty easy in this game, right? So all hexes cost 1 movement point, and if you move all movement along a road or railroad, you get 1 additional movement point, or you can move 1 hex further. That's basically it. And then you have the rivers, which are kind of special. So you have some bridges, they negate the river costs. But if it's an unbridged river hex site, it depends on the unit type. So the movement values of the units are in colored backgrounds. We have white ones. Those are, that's the yellowish. To the left, you see an infantry unit to the left with the yellow stripe. Well, all the Romanian units, they have their movement factors in a white box, right?
Yeah.
So that means those are lag units, and they can simply move.
Okay.
Right.
Makes sense.
So it doesn't cost them any extra movement points.
Yeah,
if you have a mechanized unit with the yellow background, then you have to start adjacent to the river line, and then you can cross and you have to stop. And tanks are those units with the red background movement value. They can't cross any unbridged river hex sites at all in this game.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so then I'll do my movement for these guys then. And I guess we'll move them north. They can move 2. So like that, for example. I think that's right. And then this one can move here. And then is
Oh, Patrick, I had a question for you. If a unit was not in command, what would happen to it? You just couldn't activate it?
It couldn't be activated, and it gets marked out of supply.
Okay, so you're out of supply if you're out of command range?
Yes, let me see. Maybe I'm also a bit confused right now.
Yeah, because I thought that supply was just checking the supply line and tracing a line back to the border.
You check supply also at the moment of activating your units, right?
Yeah.
If you're not within command range, the unit can't be activated, and the unit.
But that's the only thing, yeah.
But that's it.
So are the activations like independent, or is everything right now in supply and I can move everything, or do I have to move the command tile last?
The headquarters. Yeah, you
Headquarters,
just check the command range at the start of the activation before moving
Okay.
any at all.
Okay, so
now
it's
you're
fine.
free to move. You can also move them out of command range, but then you're not in the situation to activate them next. Next activation.
Yeah.
So you might want to keep them somewhat concentrated in a range of 3.
Yep.
But I think activating those Romanians was your first mistake, Joe. First
Oh,
mistake.
no. Proud Romanians will. Don't worry.
And remember that you have a few Romanians on the bottom right.
Yeah.
You got 3 movement points, right? With those. I'm not sure if you moved them to the max.
Yes. Check I did that right. I don't want to do something wrong. But yeah, I think I did that right. I may have not, though. I'm not sure. Anyway, so these need to be within 3, 1, 2, 3. So I can move this 1. And you can move through your own units.
Yes.
Yeah, you can overstack during movement, but not at the end of movement.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. 1, 2, 3 then. And then 1, 2.
Okay. So that was your first activation. Then you discard that card, I guess, because you have a reshuffle later in the turn. So this card will never be used again. No, it would never be used until we reshuffle. Okay, but then it's going to be my activation, and I'm going to activate. So discard all the blue units of one army. So this is the blue stripe in the middle, but I have to choose either the 2nd Guard or the 51st Army.
Correct.
Okay. So in that case, I think I am going for activating the 51st Army. So all the blue units of the 51st. And when it's Soviet and I'm activating on the color, the fact that there is a headquarter in range is not taken into account, right?
Correct. So the Soviet units don't need to have a command range.
Okay, good. So I'm going to take those motorized here, and they have 4 hexes, but I'm going to move them along the road so I can move up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Parfait. This one is going to go here. This one doesn't start on a road, so I won't get the benefit, so we'll get straight 4. So I'm going to block just here in front of the bridge. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good. And then what are the blue units I have in the 51st? I have this guy here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who's going to go here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's it. That's all I have, Patrick.
Down south, maybe. To the left, there's one more.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that those ones are mine. Or I'm okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that I was already here.
But basically, that's about it. You got like 5 to 6 units per activation.
Yeah, so this one, the thing is that this one is what happens because here I'm in the zone of control. So zone of control are the 6 hexes surrounding.
Correct. He's already out of supply, right?
Yeah.
Because you will check supply when you activate a unit. So to come back to your previous question, when you activate as the access player, you activate a formation and there's a unit outside of the command range. He doesn't have to check for supply as well.
I completely forgot that was Fred's unit.
Yeah, me too. So this one is out of supply. So it means that
out of supply.
His movement allowance is divided by 2.
The combat strength and movement allowance is halved.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not great. So what I will do is, and I can cancel a enemy zone of control with my own, with one of my units. So I'm gonna activate this unit and move it here. And I think if I read the rules correctly, it does say that as soon as a unit is back in supply, it's back in supply. So I don't have to wait the end of the activation.
Yes.
So this one now is in supply because it's tracing through that EZOC here.
Well, not quite, because you check supply at the beginning of the activation of the unit, right? So at the beginning, before moving any unit, you check supply for all the activated units, and then you start your movement procedures.
Okay.
But
But
if you play the next card and you activate the blue once again, he will be in supply.
Okay, good.
But not during the turn.
And this one is a blue one too. I don't really like having those units back to the river. So I'm just going to put this one here like this. Oh, and I have 2 here. Here and here. I'm going to go to... Yeah, I feel they're going to have... Those units are going to have a bad time. Wait a minute. This one is not blue. I'm not allowed to move it. It's not the right color.
Right. So that river line where they are, it's not very efficient because it just stops.
Yeah.
A few hexes.
Just wondering.
And I would recommend just falling backwards.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. I'm not really... Like, I don't think I can do much here. Like, there is an opening between the 2 rivers, so nothing that can... And what is in front of me, it feels a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to make my tank be on a... I want him to be on a road, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3... Oh, actually, maybe not. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3... I could do 5. I'm going to go here, giving me some options.
Well, but he doesn't start on a road hex, right?
Yeah, but he has 5 movement.
He got 5 movement. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So if it was, I could have moved 6, but yeah, he didn't. And this one can move 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C'est pas génial. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this one is going to move up here. And that's all of my blue.
Yeah.
And I guess I could fight now, but I'm really not in a great position to... I'm not really in a great position to fight. So I will stop here my movements. I will discard that card. I think I activated everything I could.
So I think I'm going to play this card.
Flip it.
The Panzer Division. Shout out the boys.
Yes, that's the one I was a bit worried about.
That's, if I'm correct, these guys just right of the Romanians I moved last round. There's...
Yeah, with that formation, you have to take care of the bridges right now.
Yeah.
Because all the tank units can only cross the river line at the bridge hexes.
Uh-huh.
And all the motorized units with the yellow movement factor can only cross an unbridged river hex side when they start adjacent.
Yeah, I see. So you always need a bridge to get tanks across.
Yes.
And then this is the Panzer supply. I see. So I can move this 1. And then this is...
That's it, right?
Yeah, because once you enter a zone of control, you have to stop your movement.
Oh, yes, because this is your unit here.
Yeah.
So what's stacked underneath the tank?
There is a
motorized unit.
Motorized.
So that motorized unit could also go to the right-hand hex.
I see. So
you can cross the unbridged river hex side. That opens up another slot for another tank unit in the...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So when it was here, if the motorized unit went across, is that what you mean?
So the motorized unit would cross to the right? Yes.
Yes. How do I split them up, Fred?
So you double click on it, and you're going to have... And you should be able to pick them separately. Yeah.
Yeah. So he would go there.
Yes.
And
it's
then,
more efficient that way.
Yes. And then he's here, and then the tank can go onto and stack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I put this here and this here, move these up like that. And that's all the panzers, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's another bridge right there.
Oh yeah, true.
So
Yeah.
you can bring some.
This is Fred's.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yes, so you can move.
So as soon as you'll enter here, you'll be stuck, but you can open a couple of hexes if you move this here, and then you've got some units that can come here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
So
sounds like
maybe
a
you
good
have
idea.
a motorized infantry unit and the independent.
There's these. If I go in like this, they move here, and then. Yeah, I'm unsure. I think I'll just do this and keep my HQ there.
So if you plan to attack the left unit with the green stripe, then you should take the independent unit that you've assigned to the panzer formation, because then you would receive.
He can go through, can't he? Yeah.
Yeah, the units with the white stripe, they will provide a tank shift, and they can provide a combined arms.
Yeah,
okay.
but now you're overstacked. So you need to have one of those units to go back to stack with the HQ.
Yeah. Okay. Which one's best? So this is the yellow refers to it being
the yellow combat factor. So let's talk about the counters, right? On the left bottom side, you have the combat factor. On the right side, you have the movement factor. And you have combat factors with a white box. Those are simple combat units which don't provide any special modifiers. But then you have the motorized or mechanized infantry, which have a yellow box around their combat rating. They will contribute to a combined arms modifier. So if you have a combat with such unit plus an additional tank unit, you will receive a combined arms modifier. And the yellow and red box will contribute to the combined arms modifier as the tank part, and will provide a tank modifier as well. So,
yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm done, Fred.
Okay. Do you want to attack, maybe? Because moving is nice, but I think at some point you need to probably attack some people.
You're not going to let me just walk in?
No, but no. The thing is that you're going to be stuck if you don't attack.
Yeah.
I can just leave my units here,
attack.
And then my zones of control are going to do the rest.
But that's my movement, though.
But so your movement is done, and now that you're done with your movement, now you can do the combats. And I think there is at least one, potentially two units that you really want to attack right now.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Patrick, could you give us a quick overview of how combat works?
Sure, absolutely. So the first step, you're gonna check the odds, the combat odds. You have 2 defending combat factors and 4 attacking factors, I think, right?
Yeah, so the combat factor is going to be the value on the bottom left.
Yes.
And you're going to sum them together. So you can attack with 1 stack into 1 hex. So my strength here is 2. And if you attack with that stack, because you can only attack with units that you activated, you're going to sum the both of them. Or they could attack two separate hexes if you had.
Yeah.
But in that case, you only have 1. So it's going to be 2 plus 2, 4.
Yep.
So your attack is going to be 4 to 2. So that means that your attack ratio is going to be a 2 to 1. So when you are going to roll on the combat result table, you're going to be on the 2 to 1 column normally. But in that case, you've got a yellow counter and a tank counter. So you're going to have a shift for combined arms. And then you're going to have a shift because you're using a tank. So from a 2 to 1 column, you're going to start rolling on a 4 to 1 column. So if you look at the 4 to 1, you're going to see the potential results on the combat result table, and maybe I can show them on the. Oh yeah, they are very tiny though. I'm going to zoom in. Yeah, here they are. So at 2 to 1, it's not great. You have some risk of getting some damage. So everything that says A is going to be bad for the attackant. Everything that's going to be D is going to be bad for the defender. And you can see 4 to 1, everything is bad for me. and the only bad outcome for you is if you roll a 1, well, nothing happens. So, and in that case, if the axis rolls a 1, I would get a special reinforcement unit that I draw randomly. But nothing really bad can happen to you if you're on a 4-2-1 column. That's right, Patrick, right?
Yes, and you would want to check the terrain modifiers.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
If there's any.
Oh, and actually, I am on something. I am on a minor village, so you'll have -1 to your dice roll.
Correct.
But no column shift.
Yes.
Okay.
So do you want to attack?
Yes, we're going to do that. We're going from
what you can decide now is, and now that you've decided this, do you want to play a combat card?
Yeah, that's a good point. No, I don't think so. No, I don't. I think I just want to roll.
Okay.
So then
I have I can decide, and I have an event, and that's maybe for a question for you, Patrick. So I have the option of playing a general event or a tactical event on my card. So I have always that choice. But I have one tactical event that says I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to play it here, so maybe we can look at it together. And so it says anytime, so I could play it at the beginning of combat, I guess, because it's anytime. I need to roll a 4 or less to make sure that it happens. But it says 1 Panzer battalion. So what would that mean in that case?
Panzer battalion. That's actually a reinforcement of a tank step. So you could either flip a reduced strength tank unit, or you can draw one from the random tank pile.
Okay,
but with random units, and you can simply draw one of those units and place it. But you can't place them in any hex that's adjacent to an enemy.
But the question is, so it says Panzer battalion, but it's like there is no, I guess.
Yeah, that's a wording issue.
Yeah. Okay. So that's more of a typo. So that's just a tank unit that I can get.
Correct. In general, we have some questions asked by other gamers in the past, and we have answered them on Board Game Geek, right? So there you can find all the answers. You can always ask questions there, and we will provide a errata and clarification sheet soon. So.
Okay, but then I'm looking at my combat card. I think I would not play a combat card. I think this fight is probably already lost. So you're at 4-1. You can roll a d6. Oh,
putain!
You rolled a 1. That's perfect. So 1 means that the combat has no effect, and when the axis attacks and you roll a 1, I get a reinforcement infantry. So there is a random set of counters that I can draw from. The thing is that have no... I think they are here. Okay.
Yes.
So this is my infantry things.
Yeah, you have to shuffle them, I think.
I think they are shuffled. Yeah, they are shuffled.
They are shuffled. Yeah. So that's the snafu marker.
Yeah.
That means you don't get a...
And I return it to the cup. Okay.
You return it to the cup. And...
I'm just checking that. Yeah, they are. Yeah, good.
What a catastrophe. I say we turn around now and leave them.
Yes.
It's not worth it.
Not worth it. Do you want to do a second combat? Because you also have the option to combat here.
We're going in.
Here I have no modifier. And here you could actually attack with a lot more. So you have 2 here. Yeah, stop moving stuff around. 2 here and 4 here. So that's going to be 6. And I have 2. So you're already at 3-1. And once again, you have tanks and motorized infantry. So you have the combine and the tank. So from 3-1, you go to 4-1, 5-1. So on this one, no results can be bad.
But good.
Yeah, you may want to play a combat card anyway, but I would be surprised.
No, I don't think I do.
You don't think you do?
Nope.
And I won't do either, so you can roll.
Oh my god, here we go.
And you roll the 3, and the result of 3 is I take 1 hit and I have to retreat. but if I'm not mistaken, this unit has only 1 pip on the top right, meaning that it has only 1 step. So if I take 1 hit, it's going to be eliminated. And now that it's eliminated, you have an option. Because you are attacking with tanks, if you eliminate units in a combat with tanks, those tanks may advance in that freed hex if you want. So that's called the advance after combat.
Yep, I'm going to do that. So these into here.
Yeah, it can be both of them, only one of them, as you wish.
So for them,
it's important in this game that only tank units can advance after combat. So it's always a question of a risk calculation, especially later in the game. Now the Soviet player doesn't have any attacking force there, so it's not a high risk to make the advance.
Okay. Okay, so that's good. Well, that's good, not really. I'm going to discard it, and now it's back to me.
Yep.
And I'm going to play the blue of the 51st again. This unit is not out of supply anymore.
Yes.
Oh, can you flip the card?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Thank you. 51st.
Okay, and now I'm thinking about putting this guy behind this bridge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This guy is going to go here as fast as he can. And now that So I was thinking, should I be spiteful and let those units here? Because as long as they are here, those 2 units are out of supply. but I'm thinking that's just mean and probably unnecessary. And I think that you probably will destroy them with everything that's coming here. But that might give you something to do. So I'm not sure.
Well, technically, they are not out of supply right now because the zone of control doesn't extend across.
Oh, yes, it doesn't. It doesn't extend across this. That's true.
Yeah, it doesn't help you now, but it could potentially help you in a later.
Yeah. No, but I think that's a bit. That's not really necessary. I'm looking at what you have. Those units don't really have the power to actually provide any damage to you. Yeah. So I will tactically retreat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's for the best. So those are for the blue ones on the south. And then I'm checking if I have the ones on the north. Yeah, I have those guys here. This one is going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one is going to go here. And this is going to be it for me. I'm not going to trigger any combat. I'm going to discard this and refresh for movement. And that's back to you.
Okay. Back to me. I'm going to... I think I'm going to play this card. So
that's Romanian cavalry specifically. So that's those units in the south. Okay.
Yes, these ones, I think, right?
Yeah, that's it.
So I think they're going to come. Yeah, I'm going to bring this up. Goes 1. Well, I'll move the top one first. Just into here. And then this one stack with him. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. And then finally bring the H.
You're overstacking here.
Am I? Is it already stacked? It was already stacked.
Yeah. You have 3. You need to have 2. Yeah.
Yep. It was this one, right?
Yeah.
I wish it popped up on Vassal a bit faster. I'll put it here then. And then this one can go behind it.
Can I give you an advice? I shouldn't say that, but this one, if I were you, I would place it here.
Why is that?
Because then
Did it
you're
move there?
yeah, you were here
Well,
and
it
you have a
could, yeah.
movement allowance of 5, and I will go like what you're going to try to do in a hex encounter sometimes is, well, it's maybe a bit less important, and maybe Patrick, you can provide more details to this, but if you can force, like if you can put good combat odds and force a unit to retreat in an enemy zone of control, where in that case you won't have, but you'll force me to retreat across a river or something like this, that's probably bad. But also you want to optimize the number of units that are going to be in contact with me, because you want to make sure that your ratio is as high as possible. So here you have 3 units in contact with me. If you place some units here or here, you're going to have more. So that means more combat strength is going to concentrate fire on a single unit. So you want to optimize the open spots that you're finding around a specific unit. So here, if you manage to do more, and each 2 strength that you're going to add is going to shift you 1 column technically. So yeah.
I see. Okay.
But in this case, you could even be here. That would be the same. That would
I think
do
that's
the same
better.
effect, and it's less risky.
Okay.
So in that case, if you attack this, so it depends now, because now you have an option. Those units could attack this one, and then you could have those ones attacking this one. And knowing that in this stack, you could have 1 unit attacking this one and 1 unit attacking this one. The only thing is that you have to attack 1 hex per activation, but then you can mix and match whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you attack across a river, I think what happens if you attack? What's the impact, Patrick? Is it just a 1 DRM, or do you have a column shift?
Umbridge River, yes, it gets a -1 DRM, and
And
you cannot attack with tanks.
Yeah, you can't attack with tanks, and you won't get any combined arms shifts, and you can't advance.
Okay.
But in that case, you don't have any tanks anyway, so
so
it's not too bad.
We will attack, and I'm not going to play any cards.
So which attack are you doing?
I'm going to attack this.
And you are attacking with what?
With this.
So in general, I think the 2-to-1 attack would be a good opportunity for playing combat cards, especially if you want to actually play all your combat cards each turn. So you want to play all the 5 cards.
I see. Okay, yeah.
After your last activation.
Okay, well,
I can draw full hand.
Based on the advice of the designer, I'll play this then.
Oh, but I don't think I see the card, right? Do I see it?
Yes, you see it.
Okay, I see it. Okay, yeah.
And he places it openly, and then you can decide if you want to play a card too.
So do you play it for the general event or the tactical one?
The tactical one.
So now you need to roll a dice, and you need to roll 4 or less to see if the event is going to be successful or not.
Yeah.
And you roll a 3, so it's successful.
Yeah.
So 2-to-1, so that means that you're going to roll on a 3-to-1.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I need to check, do I want to do something? And I'm not going to play any cards.
Okay.
So you roll on a 3-to-1.
Yep.
Just note that I'm on a town, so you're going to have -2 DRM on your roll.
I rolled a 6.
If it's
6?
important, you could even play multiple combat cards.
I see.
Yeah. So 6, that makes it modified to a 4, and you were on the 3-to-1 table. So the defender has to retreat. And I guess I could retreat here or here. Is there a priority for me to retreat to use a bridge before, or I can go across the river?
No, you can go with your infantry. That's not a problem.
Okay, so I will go across the river and stop here. And no advance after combat because there were no tanks.
Correct.
Do you want to do... Oh, wait a minute. I have a question. Patrick, if I retreated here, and then Joe would attack here to here, would that mean that now he would attack a stack of 3?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, but then I would retreat here.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Good.
Sure. And then I'll discard this card, and then we will attack into here.
Good. So now you're actually on a 4 to 3.
Yep, but I'm going to play a card.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play this card.
So, and this one you played for the top or the bottom?
The bottom, sorry, I should
So
have said.
you need to roll a 4 or less to see if it's successful. And it's successful. So you're going to have a +2 DRM when you're going to roll. And you're on 1-1. The best you can do is make me retreat. And you're going to have -1 DRM from the river anyway. So it only gives you a +1. So I won't play any combat card, and you can roll. So 3 + 1, 4. And we are on a 1-1 table. So nothing happens.
Unfortunate.
Nothing happens.
Oh, guys, I think I screwed up the rule with the retreat to your other unit, because the enemy zone of control can't be negated during a retreat. So if you retreat up to the other unit, you would lose 1 step. And also you can't move there because you have another hex or another retreat possibility.
But there is no zone of control on that hex.
All right.
Yes, because there is the river in the middle.
Sometimes I get confused by my own.
Yeah, I know the feeling. No, don't worry. But yeah, that's the thing, is I knew it was not a zone of control. So I was wondering, because those two were the same thing. The only thing that changed was the fact that there was a bridge.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's good to hear. Then so we didn't screw up on this. Now it's back to me. And what I will say is I still have 3 activations left, and I have a lot of combat cards that are not super useful. So I think that I'm actually going to play this. First, before my activation, I'm going to do this because it says that I can play it anytime. And I'm going to play it for the tactical event for now. So I'm going to roll a 4 or less, and then I'm going to be able to draw a tank random cheat. Hopefully, I should roll a 4 or less. And I do. Good. So now I get one of those things. Nice. So that's that.
Can you flip them over?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if they are.
I think you always draw the one from the top, right?
Yeah. No.
Because you flip them over. You always draw.
No. I think it's always a different one. So it is randomized. It is painful, but randomized.
It's fair. Very fair.
So I will discard this, and that's it for now. And now what I will do is I will play this card for the activation. So I will activate green units from the 51st. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Green. This one is going to go out of this awful pocket. So I can move from one Izok to another Izok, and that's it.
Firstly, he's out of supply.
Oh, he's out of supply.
He's activated now.
Yeah. But he can move from one Izok to another Izok, and that's it?
Yes, but then you have to stop again.
Yeah. So I'm going to place it. I'm going to place it here. It's not great, but that's what I have to do. And then I have a green unit here. Can move 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's going to move up to here. So that's it for the greens. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is going to move here. And I'm actually happy with this being here, to be honest. So that's great. And I think that's the only green unit left from the 51st. So This is literally it for me, but I will try to do something else. I will play this card again as an event, and I'm going to play it for the tactical event to get a replacement infantry. So I'm going to try that. So I need to roll 5 or less. Hopefully, oh my god. Okay, good, excellent, perfect. You can go, Joe. I will stop now. I gave up.
Okay. I'm going to play the. Just making sure these are right. I'll play. This one.
So any formation.
Yes, but it has to. Yeah. So I think I'll choose the. The Romanians again, I think. Yeah.
Well, the Romanians are actually your weakest units, right? So I would think about using 23rd Panzer
Yes.
again. So you can clear
This is
unit with the green stripe and then head up north via the
Okay.
road.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that then. I'll move this one. Oh, I'll move the card a little bit. This one here. This one. This one here. And then this can go across one because it's starting next to the river.
Yeah.
But you could even go through the bridge and then use your full movement.
Yeah. So if you move here and here, then you have, because if you move from here to here, because it's motorized, you're going to have to stop.
Yeah. Okay, I'll put it. It can go here as well, right? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Let me see. Did you enter a zone of control?
No.
That's where I finished, but no.
Yeah, you finished in the zone of control, but didn't enter it one before. Yeah.
Okay.
And then this can come across, and this up here. And then...
this unit can move quite fast, and you can overstep during your movement, so maybe it would be worth it to start moving up here.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. 1, 2. I'm going to put it here then.
Nice.
Oh.
And you can also move the headquarter, or did you do that?
No, I left that,
But everything is still in range.
Everything is still in range, but you can...
You might want to move it up a bit to make sure that it's a bit more in the middle of your formation.
Yeah.
And
or at least here.
Has to stop movement on a road hex at all times.
Yeah.
So that's something we missed with the Romanian infantry down south in the right-hand corner. But
could you say that again? Sorry, I missed that.
Oh yeah, so the headquarter needs to be on a road hex, and actually I'm maybe just going to move this one, your headquarter here, because it needs to be you need to move it along a road.
Right. Yeah.
So this you don't have to move along a road,
but it needs to be on a road. Yeah.
And on a movement.
Yeah.
So this one could be here, for example, because you have a road here.
Yes. But
or it could be. It could actually be here because it has 6 movements. So you could do 1, 2, 3, 4. And so you could actually be here, here, or here.
Yeah. Even with stacking, that's fine. So it's better up here, I think. And then probably attack this.
Yeah.
So attack it with these here. So in terms of the combat results, it's 4-2, right?
I attack with everything. I would say like 4, 6, 8, 10, and what do you have left? 10 and 12. Yeah, so do a 6-1.
Okay, yeah. And then I'm not going to play any cards.
Well, you got a 6-1, then you get 2 shifts for tank
Actually-
bonus and combined arms.
Yeah, he has more than a 6-1 because it's out of supply. So this one is actually a 1 combat value. So he's already at 7-1. So
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll just not use a card and roll for that.
yeah, same for me.
So
And I think it's obliterated. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
You don't
take
just
it.
have to roll.
Yeah,
Well, you have to roll actually because you could get the
reinforcement.
result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can move one of your tanks.
Yes, into that place.
You could also move 2 of your tanks up to the stacking limits.
Yeah. But I'll move this in here. I think that's better. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so unfortunately, we won't have the opportunity to finish our first turn. But I think we gave a good feel for how the game flows. Maybe what we can do, Joe, is follow up on the game at another time. So I will make a save on my side, so we can actually keep maybe some updates on Twitter about how the game goes.
I'm actually keen for that. Yeah, very keen.
Yeah, good. And we'll have to drop it here. But I would like to thank you, Patrick, for showing us the game and being on the show. I would be actually, so I'll see, either maybe we record actually a part 2, just Joe and I, and we play the game and we could have a second phase, or just play
You
it.
can invite me anytime. I will join.
That would be great. Or just take a few screenshots and share them on Twitter along the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually, like, I've taken a while to get used to the flow, but actually I really like the card play a lot, so I'm actually very keen to play this.
It's in the first few turns, if you don't know the game, or maybe the first few activations, they are a bit slow, but if you get used to the sequence, it's gonna get quicker.
Faster and faster, I think so too.
Yeah.
And it gives
like
an interesting, back to what we were saying about the victory lost. I think it gives an interesting, I like the fact to have those choices about, this is my hand, those are the activations that I can do, and I'm just figuring out in which sequence I want to do it, which I think is super interesting. So really keen on playing it again. But I would like to thank you, Patrick, for taking the time to show us the game. Thanks, Joe, for being a valuable opponent. But we need to play again for sure. I would really like to keep on playing this one. That was really great. I hope to see you again on the show, Patrick. I see that you have a really interesting lineup. I was actually thinking about that Bismarck game that with hidden movement. I think could be also super fun. I don't know if there is a vassal module for it.
Yeah, we got one.
Because I think that could be also interesting to showcase, because it feels like a lighter kind of game that could be accessible to a wider audience. But something that we discuss offline. I won't bore you with that.
Do that.
But I would like to thank the two of you. And if you're watching here, I would say like and subscribe the video. More stuff are to come. I hope that we do other stuff with VUCA simulations. And have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.